Also to at least keep them out of the meetings when we do have the actual meetings. Not that they can't get the tapes. They can get the tapes. That's no problem. Hell, they got there's no problem. They can go and buy the tapes and stuff. I mean, they own the internet. They own 2 sites on the internet and different things like that. So that's not the point. The point here is basically they would get into some things and interrupt some things while you're doing the actual lecture and stuff like that to try to get you off guard, and that's a real big thing, you know. You see, it's just like I was on the college campus, you know. I spoke there last Tuesday night. This brother here came out. I was glad to see you. Spoke there last Tuesday night for the Sigmas, this Egyptology thing. But the next day, the next day I had a crowd of like 50-something people.
Yeah, it was Wednesday night you spoke.
Huh?
It was Wednesday night you spoke. It was Thursday.
Wednesday night I spoke, and then that Thursday had a crowd. Started off talking about 2 people, and the next thing I know about 50-something people. But it was interesting. Some brother just kept coming up through the crowd, disrupting the crowd, some old crazy ass niggas. So it's going to tell you that we got agents and all kinds of zombies, implants, clones, and all this stuff. This is an everyday part of the society. And I mean, not a type of thing like he had a fundamental disagreement. I can see if he was a Christian or something, and basically, because I wasn't talking about Jesus or whatever, you see what I'm saying, that he had a problem with that, but then again, he couldn't get on that because we was incorporating all different types of religions. This brother just coming up saying crazy shit. I mean, it didn't have nothing to do with nothing, you know, just crazy stuff. So so that lets you know that they got a bunch of them up on the AU Center, but then again, we understand that they permeate all college campuses. I knew that not even before the conscious movement, but even during the time of back in 1986, when one of the brothers actually that turned me on, the brother that you met at the lecture, the Sigma that actually turned me on to consciousness, was a brother named Maddox Moore, that was like one of the youngest Black Panthers and stuff like that. And I was like, damn man, how do you be one of the youngest Black Panthers and shit, man? I mean, at the time when but I was thinking he was my age, but then again, on the other hand, and all he's about 10 years older than me, so therefore that would go right into it. But the point was, even he said that after he got out of college, and this was years later, one of his boys, it was a Sigma, that started working for the CIA, flew back to Atlanta and showed him a book with his picture, showed my boy Maddox a book with his picture in it. Now it's interesting, I was saying that, and my white art teacher said, oh, that's no big deal. He said they got anybody that's like the SGA president, student government president, anybody that is a influential type of figure on the campuses, is they keep a file on all that anyway. If they keep one on Duke Ellington and stuff like that, but I realize why they also did that too, because they know a little bit about us more than we do. But so therefore, we know that every major college installation, black and white, is a hotbed for actual agents and stuff like that. No, especially after you see what went down with Kent State. They can shoot their own crackers up like that, and you know it basically ain't no problem. They're gonna keep tabs on everybody. And it was interesting because I don't know if they still do it, but when we was in the AU Center every year, each semester the lights would cut off for about an hour or 2. You see, they would have, they pull this grid and the lights would cut off, and they'd have these particular drills during that particular time like that also too. So we also know, even if they look at the black people, they understand, even if they look at the black people and the black people ain't got shit on their minds, it might be that 1% that they're actually looking for. And this is the thing that hurt me to my heart, because I noticed this ongoing trend on the white college campuses across the United States and all in Europe. These white teachers, as well as a lot of white heads, the people, advisors over students, parents and stuff, is now turning on white kids, white college kids in their early 20s, is getting into all forms of jazz. I mean, Coltrane, all forms of jazz, even the 70s jazz, they're getting a lot of Herbie Hancock, you see what I'm saying, and Freddie Hubbard. And it hurt me to my heart. I was up in Wax, in fact, and I saw 2 white girls up in there buying a whole pile of Miles Davis albums. You see what I'm saying? But then again, on the other hand, we go to the black college campuses, and the only thing we dealing with is one form, the rap. Well, there ain't nothing wrong with that, but the thing about it is what we got is you got to have a balance. So now you got people that don't even know shit about none of this, and these white people is dealing with our science. And these white kids, man, I went to Starbucks and I'm like, damn, this is some badass stuff. I'm listening to this tape. And this little white boy brings in these jazz tapes and he splices every morning or every week. And the cuts that was on there was awesome stuff from the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. I'm like, look at this shit here. And this white boy, so it's not like I say, well, that it's a younger generation, because this white boy is like 19. These white girls are like 18, 19 buying Miles Davis. So it lets you know the level on which they're actually training their children, because they know we abandon all this shit. 1986, the two #1 blues players to graduate high school was two white boys. You see what I'm saying? And so my point is they know that we're going to abandon stuff because we're a popular culture, a childlike people. And a child will play with a toy for about a week, and then he'll leave it. He has to keep getting new things. But #1, he's still trying, well, a child, that's fine, because he's still trying to learn the world and the environment around him. Well, black people, we do the same thing. So I'm up in there, I talk a little shit about Master P and Stiegel Grocery, which is the Stiegel Foods, which is the actual place where all the college kids on the AU Center go and eat. And I'm talking shit about Master P, and you should have saw them niggas up in there, all about 10 or 15 girls and guys want to kill Mike. They want to kill me, and I'm like, wait a minute, first of all, y'all some middle-class motherfuckers, so I don't want to hear this shit. I said, y'all middle-class, y'all faking the funk. First of all, if that nigga didn't have no rap record, you wouldn't even let him in your house. Now y'all faking like y'all so hard, y'all middle-class niggas and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They never lived without electricity a day in your life. Yeah, my electricity was cut off last year. No, they ain't about all that. It's about stuff go out of style. I'm like, well, you don't even listen to De La Soul. I said, you don't let these people, all the De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest, Difficult Planets, and all the ones even from the early 90s, they underground. They got to go to Europe and even. I'm saying, so you ain't even listening to your own classical rap. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even talking the conscious stuff, KRS-One and the whole Public Enemy and X-Clan. I'm just talking about good innovative stuff that was around just 4 years ago. That stuff is now on the ground. They got to go to Europe and stuff. And I'm saying now the stuff is becoming ignorant and more ignorant. Well, no, it just went out of style. It's all just about being in style. I said, so if sucking dicks was in style, you be doing that, Mom. You know what they say? You look like this, Mom. Couldn't say that. You see, couldn't say that. And so I'm like, I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, you don't understand what programming is. You don't understand when you're being programmed. You see what I'm saying? And so what it is like Elijah Muhammad said, if you get a people, first of all, we are people that's dehumanized. We've been dehumanized since slavery. The Willie Lynch laws taught you that thing. So anybody that's dehumanized, they always gonna go for the lower or the lesser repertoire. That's what children do. Like a child, you can speak all day on stuff, common sense, and all, as soon as you curse, they get it. That's because a child or children always is gonna gravitate towards the lesser, the ignorance, and that's why we all in the comedy view and all this comedy stuff now. You see what I'm saying and all, So we gonna always gravitate towards the stuff that's gonna be on the low end of the scale until somebody literally train you to be on the other end of the scale. So what we gotta have now, well, it's already over, but my point is what we need now is straight up fascism on Negroes. Yep. You can't give savage people a choice no more because we have been degenerated. Now, what do I mean by that? First of all, because this is very interesting because it needs to be documented. We understand based on the Willie Lynch laws and all of the actual science that after we got out of slavery, they thought that we would go crazy by the 1890s based on what they had done by wiping all forms of culture and knowledge and dehumanizing us to a childlike people. So let us make a slave was actually let us make a child. And so they said, well, these people will go crazy at least in 20 to 30 years, by the 1890s. But what happened was we was able to doggone fight that off because what we did was, based on our spirituality and the melanin, we took the greater culture and drew from the greater culture and literally twisted and made our own culture, where we even made a culture so strong till the greater culture started following us. But what happened was, so it was therapeutic for our people, at that particular time, and in the first 50 years of the 20th century, we literally built a black dynasty, as well as economic, as well as the social, economic structure, schools, black lawyers, black doctors, black baseball, you know the whole deal. So we understand that the white boy understood that he had to come in, and he said the best way to keep you in a hole is to get down there in that hole with you, and they used the counter agent, Martin Luther King, as well as the Spin-Guard brothers, and the whole 9 yard with the NAACP to integrate you. But you were healthy as far as the people that was on your way up, as long as you were segregated, because by you being segregated, you had to draw from a certain amount of energy that was around you. You was forced to become better. And your childness would not register. In actuality, you was actually getting rid of that particular stuff and sifting out the bullshit or the insanity as you go on, as long as you stay segregated. But it's just like anything else. Then they desegregated us when we just start running in the 70s, running wild. But as anybody, it's just like if you take a child 10 and put him outside of the house at 10 or 9, it's 98% of the chance he ain't going to become the full-fledged adult that he's supposed to be. So it's the same thing with us. Because we were children, they put us out in the 70s. You see what I'm saying? And now we got the 30-year scope of just being running wild with no type of responsibility as far as our own culture. Until now, what was supposed to happen in the 1890s, it was held off for 100 years, but the degeneration started in the 1990s. Now, case in point, let me show you what the lower end of the scale is based on the way we should think. Now, apparently most people didn't enjoy Beloved. Well, that's because you haven't been trained most of the time to go into a film. And the way they're doing films now, you're supposed to draw your own conclusion. That means they might have a film, just like they do these books. You know, you have a book thing, you know, you have a book club, and you go and read it. Somebody might have 5 different takes on what they thought the book was about. And what it is, all it takes was relevant, because that's what spawns a certain amount of think tank. Well, it's the same thing with a lot of these new movies they're doing in Hollywood now is, you say, I don't get it. We don't supposed to get it. Whatever you want to get it, or whatever you want to put with it, that's what you're supposed to deal with. And that's how you draw your conclusion. So because that was Toni Morrison's book, it wasn't Oprah. So I know a lot of people was rebelling against Oprah because we know that clown. But the point is, that was Toni Morrison's book. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, you're supposed to draw, there was several things that went on in the movie that it might be one part that appealed to you, and that's all you're supposed to get. That's the new way of the movie going. And that's the sophistication on what white people are dealing with in movies now. Now the key is, the NAACP awards, which is the bullshit awards, is government. Because the Spin-Guard brothers and all that is government. So now, when you got certain people, and you got to lead a certain people away, you got to understand. Even if the people voted on it and they picked Stella Got a Groove on, even if they picked that, you got to have some form of fascism, or what, not even fascism, it's a guideline, because you understand that based on Rosewood not doing well at the box office, and based on Beloved not doing well at the box office, although you might not generally didn't like Beloved, but that's not the point. You got to look at the overall goal of this shit. If the NAACP was a viable organization, if it wasn't based on some government stuff, what was supposed to happen is they were supposed to pick Beloved, not necessarily because it was even better than Stella Got a Groove on, but which it was, because please, how many movies we got to have like that? They already gave us one in 85, 95. The point I'm trying to make is, and although it was entertaining, I went to see it too after I went to another movie and I said, well, let's go see Stella. You know, but it was entertaining, and Whoopi Goldberg, with her crazy ass, she actually made the movie. But my point is, looking at an advanced people, you would automatically give the award to Beloved, not because you're trying to reward Beloved, although it was a good picture. You understand that this award will be leveraged the next time you want to make a serious flick. The man can't come and say, we just tried it twice, and y'all niggas didn't go. You see, so the key is you got to keep pushing the envelope, and you got to think. You can't never break down your guard and everything just be based on your feelings and how you enjoy it. So now I'm going to show you another movie. We got so many bad movies over the course of the last couple of years. You know, at first it was cool. You saw the hood thing, and you say, yeah, okay, I like all the stuff here, New Jack and all that. You know, Nino Brown was kind of cold-blooded and all that. But after a while, this shit start coming every month. You start getting the same thing. You're like, wait a minute, now hold, everybody ain't in the same predicament as doggone New Jack City. So you start getting stupid baths and booty calls, sprung, and all this kind of thing. So you got so many bad movies until they came out with Soul Food, and you enjoyed it. Or you enjoyed it because you said, well, it's good, at least it's a good and positive movie. But the key is, and what you didn't realize was, it's patronizing your ass because in actuality, the Soul Food movie was in actuality an after-school special. Hell, you did that shit in good times in the 70s, the motherfucker sitting around a table eating. Think about it. If you look at the advancement of what these white people are into, and although, see, we gotta start thinking on another level. Although it appeals to us, we go, okay, I enjoyed that. But that's what we like entertainment. But when you really look at Soul Food, it was an after-school special. I mean, really, it wasn't no real unique stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? It just made you feel good because then again, that's how on the animal level, they got our people. You see, so you got to start thinking on a whole nother level. So whereas even when it comes to, well, I happen to like rap, but the key is, it's got to be a balance. You got to start going and getting some of the jazz like these white people because they're training these white children to start thinking on another level. And I'm telling you, it's tons of them. Buying miles and buying all this type of stuff here. Now don't tell me that you can't get into it because you're using it in the background all the fucking music anyway. You see? So this is the key on how this particular thing is going is, whereas now, this thing is so advanced and it's so interwoven, so slick until you won't even know what's going on. You see? You won't even know what's going on at all. So this is very key that you understand these particular things. So I looked at this particular thing that went on. Take for instance, like you got this, see they sending a message. So like you got the Grammy Awards. Okay, your girl Sposa won. I mean, it wasn't no Erykah Badu, or it wasn't that Deion Ferris. That was some awesome shit. But still, yet her shit was tight as far as when you put it up against all the other stuff out here, Lauryn Hill stuff. But then again, it's not like they didn't do that with the Fugees. So you already knew what to expect. So she deserved that. She know how they always got to tighten their boy up, Will Smith. Now come on, Will Smith. They give him something over her. Get jiggy with it. But see, that's what they, but they're also trying to say, we're trying to send a message. We got a good nigga in our corner, and we got to always tighten up our people. What's that?
And I was saying, too, the more popular she got, the more Christian her lyrics are getting.
Well, you know, she just, see, that's the thing about being in most groups now, like if she's dealing with the whole roster thing. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, that's just that roster terminology, but my point is when it came to this whole thing with Will Smith, you know, we just know that in actuality they just hooking up their little clean-cut little boy, you know, their little butt buddy and all this kind of thing. You see, because that's dookie love going on. You know what I'm saying? You know what dookie love is? That's dookie love. So anyway, what the deal is this. Because, you know, before he could play the hero in Independence Day, he had to book over in 6 Degrees of Separation. Before Vane Raines could play the hero in Rosewood, he had to get fucked up the butt in Pulp Fiction. Before your boy could run around with Jackie Chan, he had to put on a dress. Your boy, Chris Tucker. There's always something going on. So also you got, you see, so it's because Hollywood is an advanced secret society. No one gets in unless you owe somebody. So don't think you're going to Hollywood and you're going to just be famous and you don't owe somebody. You're going to slob on somebody's knob, some old fat suit like that. You're going to do buco and do the wrong thing to get where you are. That's just the way it is. Go back and look at the movie, what's the name of that movie? Running Man, where your boy, Peter, what's his name? Peter, can't think of the guy's name. He used to be on Family Feud. Richard Dawson goes on and says, get me Hollywood, get me the United States government entertainment division. So it's telling you it's all a part of the same system. So you just don't get up in there, even in the music industry. It's all a part of the same system. But then again, on the other hand, they played this thing, when they call for the rap thing, they come out with Foxy Brown, Missy, and Chris Tucker. Now Chris Tucker had on a clown version of a pimp suit with a little hat on, some little silk short pants, mean, just some clown stuff. So he represented the pimp. On the other hand, Foxy Brown, she come out with the canvas also, she represents the hoe. And then Missy comes out and all looking at all, she represents the doggone butch. You know what I'm saying? And they said, well, here's the freak portion of the show. You got to understand it went down just like that. You see, it went down just like that. But everything is to be analyzed now because our fight now is based on image. You see, based on image. That's the fight now. You got to understand how this particular thing is going down. You see. So let's get into some science right now. Let's get into some things with some hard copy also because so we not going. I'm gonna try to speed this thing up a little bit, whereas we're not gonna spend tedious time, but what we're gonna deal with gonna be quality. But also too, like I said, I want to put it on the tape. You got your Duke Ellington 100th birthday is on April 29th. And they got these particular magazines, Jazz Times, the Emerge, as well as this one called American Legacy, which is a black book that they got out. As a group of black people put this book out. So I don't know, you better get it, because it might not be on the stands long. But this is also celebrating the 20th anniversary. Also, like I said, one of my favorite picks to get is that CD, the Great Paris concert, Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington Great Paris concert, but anything you get with Duke is awesome. So that's one thing also too. Another thing also too, you got to understand this particular thing, which is very important. When you were a child, certain things that you did when you got to be an adult, to show that you were an adult, it's a rites of passage. Now uniform is very important. Now they got that from the Moors. The white boy got that from the Moors, which means that they can put you in a uniform a certain way and dress you up a certain way until it changes your whole mentality to the point whereas I've seen niggas that come home from the Marines and see the American flag and cry. That's an extreme brainwashing. But my point is, it goes to show you that the uniform has a lot to do with it. So right now they can go and they can enforce a dress code at a club and nobody don't fight. See what I'm saying? So you got to understand that they got all that from ancient Kemet and ancient Africa, that a certain uniform is based on symbology. Jung got a whole book called Man and His Symbols, a little small book, Man and His Symbols. So we understand based on the uniform a certain thing can happen. Now, one of the reasons how we was able to therapeutically heal ourselves was when a person got a certain age in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, they would always put on some nice clothes and dress up as an adult, and that let them know that they were an adult. Even if we got a lot of things that hold us back in the society, the man even calling you a boy. But the point is they used to put on this thing, and psychologically they would start manifesting on another level as far as their whole outlook would actually broaden. You understand where I'm coming from? So now what you got is you're gonna have to change some things up like this. Now what you have is you got what the children are wearing, the adults are wearing the same thing. Now it's not saying that in actuality you got to walk around dressed up all the time. That's not practical because the white people ain't doing it either in the society. The key on what I'm trying to say is it's good sometimes to break the cycle by just dressing in whatever, Africa or whatever you do. But the simple fact, it's got to be a bridge where you don't identify with a motherfucker in junior high school. This is a form of rites of passage. You see what I'm saying? And you got to understand this particular thing. If you got a person that don't have a rites of passage since he's been in junior high school, that means you got an adult walking around with the same mentality. And what I'm trying to say is this here. I was at a Chinese place up the street, up near the Chinese place up near the Georgia, what's the round building up there? Marriott, no, the round glass building up.
Peachtree Plaza.
Peachtree Plaza. So I'm in a Chinese shop and I'm sitting there and I'm eating. And I kept going back to junior high school and I couldn't understand why. I said, man, why I keep going back to junior high school? And I kept thinking about junior high school and I figured it out. There was some brothers sitting next to me. And all these brothers were in their late 40s, early 50s. But the conversation was on such a junior high school level on what they were talking about until as a result, I hadn't heard that kind these are people, man, in their 50s, man, and their conversation was on such a junior high school or elementary school level until it was literally taking me back to another dimension. You see what I'm saying? To another dimension. So what I'm trying to say is